Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Now, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service just dropped another gem from their alternate universe. Apparently, NATO is amassing troops in Romania to invade Moldova. Yeah, because NATO's strategic priority involves storming a neutral neighbor with 2.5 million people and no tanks. This time, Moscow's paranoia has crossed into self-parody. Yesterday it was Kaliningrad, today is Chisinau, tomorrow, who knows, maybe NATO's plotting to seize a cabbage farm in Smolensk.
Данные от службы внешней разведки России: Европа готовит оккупацию Молдавии. К ее границам со стороны Румынии стягивают натовские войска. Как сообщает СВР, для устрашения Приднестровья планируется высадка военного десанта в Одесскую область. Первая группа из Франции и Великобритании туда уже прибыла. Войска также могут привлечь для подавления акций протеста после выборов в Молдавии. Такие сценарии прорабатывали на учениях НАТО. Не исключены вооруженные провокации против Приднестровья и наших подразделений, которые размещены в регионе.
According to Russian intelligence, Europe is terrified of confronting Russia directly. So terrified, in fact, that it decided to lash out at peaceful, democratic Moldova instead. Now, what a convenient distraction from what's really happening. Moldova is holding key parliamentary elections on September 28th, and Russia is pulling out its full interference playbook: bribes, fake news, disinformation, and street-level destabilization. Moldovan President Maia Sandu didn't mince words, saying that Moldova will not become a springboard for Russian aggression. And she wasn't exaggerating. 74 suspects have already been arrested, some reportedly trained in Serbia by Russian operatives. The entire operation was allegedly coordinated by a man with the call sign BES, which, in case you missed it, means demon. Subtlety really isn't Russia's strong suit. And behind the chaos is the usual fuel: Russian money. We're not talking about a handful of shady transfers. We're talking about tens of millions in cash and crypto wallets containing hundreds of millions more. In the Kremlin's mind, if you can't win the vote, you just buy it. Campaign strategy and sabotage now comes with a currency exchange rate.
Azi, cu toată seriozitatea, vă spun că suveranitatea, independența, integritatea și viitorul nostru european sunt în pericol. Kremlinul aruncă cu sute de milioane de euro pentru a cumpăra sute de mii de voturi pe ambele maluri ale Nistrului, dar și în afara țării. Oamenii sunt intoxicați zilnic cu zeci de minciuni. Sute de persoane sunt plătite pentru ca să provoace dezordini, violență și să sperie lumea. Mă adresez tuturor cetățenilor: să nu admitem predarea țării intereselor străine. Dacă Rusia ajunge să controleze Moldova, consecințele vor fi directe și periculoase pentru țara noastră și pentru întreaga regiune. Toți moldovenii vor avea de suferit, indiferent cu cine au votat. Europa se va termina la hotar cu Moldova.
So when Moscow talks about a looming NATO invasion, it's not just lying, it's also a deflection. The real threat to Moldova isn't American troops or Romanian bases, it's Russian cash, Russian agencies, and Russian propaganda. If anything is being occupied, it's probably the truth. So, Vietnam won Intervision, Russia's post-Eurovision answer to global cultural isolation, a state-sponsored song contest where everyone claps on beat with foreign policy. Now, out of a lineup full of Moscow's ideological house guests, it was a Vietnamese pop star Du Phuc who walked away with the trophy. What Du Phuc brought to the stage was actually pretty impressive. The vocals, the performance, the production and all. Who Du Phuc won against? Even more interesting, because this wasn't just a contest, it was a curated pageant of geopolitical signaling. And how Du Phuc ended up center stage at Russia's favorite cultural comeback vehicle? Well, that might have less to do with musicality and more to do with Moscow's quiet, increasingly voluble partnership with Hanoi.
First time. Wow.
How do you feel about it?
Shock.
Congratulations, first of all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. And now I think I will answer all the questions by Vietnamese.
Okay, we got it.
Ming Ming. Yeah.
We got it.
Thank you guys so much. Спасибо.
Поделитесь вашими ощущениями. Поделитесь вашими впечатлениями, как вы себя ощущаете.
Bây giờ cũng rất là vui và cảm thấy thực sự là lúc nãy Phúc có hỏi bạn mình là đây là mình đang mơ.
See, Vietnam didn't just show up to sing. It showed up to reinforce something much more durable, an alliance built on oil, arms, and plausible deniability. In last year alone, Vietnam and Russia have quietly ramped up cooperation across the board. We're talking $6 billion in bilateral trade, renewed nuclear energy deals, and more interestingly, arms purchases paid for with oil profits. Now, with sanctions making traditional payments to Russian defense contractors difficult, Vietnam and Russia are using the profits from joint energy ventures to settle up. Vietnam gets access to weapons and energy cooperation. Russia gets a friend who doesn't cancel deals just because of a war crime indictment. But here's where it gets interesting. Vietnam doesn't want to be seen as picking sides. They've also been deepening ties with the United States, signing defense agreements with Japan, and opening their economy to just about anyone who doesn't call it Indochina unironically. So why win Intervision? Well, because soft power is a two-way mirror. Moscow gets to parade Vietnam as a symbol of endearing global friendships. Look, a non-Western success story that doesn't boycott us. While Vietnam gets visibility, influence, and a prime slot in Russia's international PR reel. It is a performance, but like all good performances, it's calculated. Du Phuc didn't just hit the high notes, he hit Moscow's messaging goals and Vietnam's diplomatic sweet spot. And he did it in front of an audience without one needing to mention arms shipments or hydrocarbons. Now that is range. So yeah, Vietnam won Intervision. But the real story isn't just the song, it's the strategy. The choreography of a country that's figured out how to stay close enough to Russia to keep the pipelines flowing, while keeping just enough distance to still show up to Western summits in a clean shirt. If that means letting a pop star take the mic to carry the message, then letting Du Phuc do it might be the most calculated move, whether anybody hears it or not. Oh boy. The Russian propaganda machine has gone back to its favorite genre, grotesque fiction. Now this time it's State Duma Deputy Viktor Vodolatsky claiming that the Ukrainian government is planning to build concentration camps in occupied territory. Yeah, because when you're running out of justifications for war crimes, the next logical step is to accuse your victims of planning the very crimes that you're already committing.
Россия могла создать для людей, спасти этих людей от уничтожения. Потому что заявлял Порошенко, что заявлял Зеленский, мы сделаем с этой территории концлагерь. Мы обнесем колючей проволокой, и они будут там жить. Дети будут жить в подвалах, взрослые в этих концентрационных лагерях. Вот эта судьба ожидала наших людей, русских людей.
So let's look at the facts, shall we? From day one, Russia has dressed its invasion in a language of liberation, spanning fairy tales to external threats and evil Ukrainians. Meanwhile, it's Russia that has razed entire cities, murdered civilians, and most ironically, built actual filtration camps. What Vodolatsky is describing isn't a Ukrainian plan, it's a Russian resume. You got forced checks, intimidation, disappearances. Hell, the liberated zone are already prisons run by Moscow. So sorry if it sounds like I'm getting a little frustrated, but this latest lie is again part of his broader Kremlin strategy. Deflect, distort, and dump responsibility on anyone else. Now, turn a victim into a villain, invent atrocities to cover your own, and repackage occupation as protection. All these fake horror stories made up to try and erase the real one playing out in Ukraine. Authored, directed, and produced by the Russian Federation. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.